Hey there, today I'm going to talk about why failing fast is critical for. Let me start with a quote from Steve Jobs. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. That's an incredibly powerful statement. It reminds us that we all have a finite amount of time, and we should spend that time doing what we love and what we're good at. As startup founders, one of the most important things that we can do is to learn how to fail fast. This is a core tenet of the lean startup methodology popularized by author and entrepreneur Eric Ries. The idea is that startups should be able to fail quickly and cheaply, so they can learn from their mistakes and move on to the next thing. This is in contrast to traditional businesses, which are often slow to adapt and change. They have a lot of overhead, and it takes a long time for them to make decisions and implement changes. This can be a huge problem when you're in a competitive industry where things are changing rapidly. Startups, on the other hand, are able to move quickly. They can pivot quickly, change their business model, and adapt to new technologies. This is what makes startups so successful. For example, let's look at the tech industry. If you look at the companies that have been successful over the past 10 years, they are the companies that have been able to adapt to the changing landscape. For example, Apple was able to adapt its operating system to the touchscreen, thus creating the iPhone, and they were able to move into mobile devices. If you look at Google, they adapted to mobile by creating Android and then acquiring companies like YouTube and others. Amazon has been able to adapt by offering new services like AWS, and they continue to innovate and evolve. On the other hand, if you look at the companies that have failed, it's because they were not able to adapt. They were slow to implement changes and they couldn't keep up with the competition. For example, Kodak was a company that failed because it couldn't adapt to the digital age. They had the technology, but they didn't change their business model. BlackBerry was another company that failed because it couldn't adapt to the changing smartphone market. Nokia, despite having amazing technology and a great product, failed because it couldn't keep up with the pace of innovation. As startup founders, we need to learn from these examples, and we need to understand that we will fail if we do unadapt. As Jeff Bezos said, your margin for error is tiny. I've made over 2,000 business decisions, and I've probably got 100 wrong, maybe more. You've got to be able to handle the fact that most of your decisions are going to be wrong. You've got to have a thick skin, and you must be able to take criticism and handle it well. Startups require a certain type of mindset. A common trait among successful founders is their ability to bounce back from failure. In fact, many of them have failed multiple times before they succeeded. As entrepreneurs, we should see failure as a natural part of the process. We need to fail fast so we can learn from our mistakes and move on to the next thing. When we fail fast, we are able to validate our ideas quickly and cheaply. We are also able to learn what works and what doesn't work. And we are able to pivot our business models quickly. As startup founders, we need to embrace the idea of failing fast and staying lean. We need to be able to move quickly and adapt to the changing market conditions. If we can do this, we will be able to increase our chances of success. So remember, as Steve Jobs said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Go out there and take risks. Go out there and start your own business. And if you fail, fail fast and learn from your mistakes. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.